Alright, today I will be doing I guess you could say a collection video, but not to the same degree as the full collection video. That will come in time, so I'm not sure if I'm ready to do it yet because I still have devices in the shed. But, so I'm gonna go over the Genesis series, the lineup of my Genesis series devices in my collection. So first off, we're going to start off with the Genesis Signal Master G1M piggyback module. So this one appears to be a newer version from 2019. So that was a year before they discontinued the Xenon models, but they still do make these for the LED models because they share the same raceways. Here we have my first G1 RF HDVM. This had a bad horn, so I had to remove it and convert it to a remote strobe, so I guess you could call it a VM now. This one's from 2005. Oh, here we have a Edwards, a very, well, somewhat of a Edwards G1 VM-A from 2007. It is a selectable lens, hardly documented Genesis horn remote strobe. Excuse my language. So it's a fixed. No, it's a fixed strobe only, but with a multi-candela strobe. Does not have the ABCs. It just has the standard. But these come default with amber lens. Hardly documented, but to the best of my knowledge, that Genesis device is somewhat rare. Whereas the horn strobe versions do exist, but are exceptionally rarer than perhaps even the H horn models, which I still don't have yet. But I'm still hunting one down. Next, I got a Edwards Genesis G1F HD remote horn from 109th day of 2018. Then I got a G1F VM. This is one of the two of my G1F VMs. Other one being right there, but except this is the Vigilant branded version, which came from a later year than that one, because that one's about the same time frame as that guy. But this is the Vigilant branded, which would be the successor to Mertone. I have an ADT G1R HOV75 ADT. Got this brand new in box, but does have a little bit of slight cosmetic damage to it, but that's okay. At least it still works. I have a G1R HDVM from 2014, so this is the 5th generation model when they started the 5th generation, which is on a G1RT fire trim plate. There's my other G1 G1 FVM. The cover is a little cracked since that one chibi test when I converted it to private mode operation. So I have to keep a good eye on that. Here we have a G1 AVRF Genesis LED horn strobe. It's an LED model. And here we have one of it is the successor to the G1RF HDVM, and the next model I'm about to show you, which is the Genesis GL1 RF HDVMC with an LED strobe. This has a very slower flash since it comes based on since it's on the modded Wheelock Exceeder LED platform, not the LED 3. The LED has some slight differences to it, but it is on the same platform. It came from the platform from the original Wheelock Exceeder LED. Here we have another ADT one. This is actually a remote strobe, as you see. This is an ADT G1V15 ADT rebrand of the G1V15 Genesis remote strobe. Here we have that's a 2nd generation, obviously, because it looks like a 1st generation, but except it has a black back. and this has a date code 2002. Here we have a Genesis speaker strobe also from 2002. This one is where's the model? Right there. G4RFS2 VM 25 volt rooming square speaker strobe, multi-candela, despite it being a second generation, because they didn't make fixed 15 candelas. Perhaps they did with the 1570/75 fixed models, which not very many people have those. Here we have one thing I got today, or actually two things if you really think about it. A Mertone MG1R HOV15, second generation Genesis with the HO horn, which would have the audio file reused for the later HD models from 2003 on a Genesis G1RT trim plate. Here we have my G1R HOV30, very similar model, except it's the obvious difference is 30 candela other than the rebrand, the Mertone rebrand, but oh, it's upside down. This is a G1R HOV30 also from 2003, 8th week, so this one is a little younger than the Mertone one, on a G1RT-Fire trim plate. Here we have an Edwards export Genesis model for the European Union. G1 HDVME, so this one's from 2013, so it's a 5th gen. Here we have a 6th generation G1WA HDVMA, very rare Genesis horn strobe for mass notification. All of these actually surprisingly have the temporal 3 pattern as a default until you switch it to continuous by cutting those pain in the butt cheeks jumpers. If I can see it correctly. Yep, there's that horn. And here we have a regular Genesis G1F HDVM from 2004. And here is so that's basically a 3rd gen. So here's a 5th generation. 2015 model G1RF HDVM that's rebranded by Honeywell. Here we have a Kid A branded Edwards Genesis horn strobe from 2017, so 6th generation EG1 HDVM, and I forgot to mention the G1 VM that has the cracked cover is the 4th generation model along with the G1 VMA. Here we have a Siemens rebranded G1 VM. So it's a G1 VM LG. Landis Gyre is what that LG stands for. 2005. So it's 4th gen. 3rd generation. Here we have a 2nd generation ADT rebranded Edwards Genesis ADT G1F HOV75. Here we have a 6th generation from 5th generation from 2015 G1 HD. It's an EG1 HD because it's the Edwards signaling model. And here we have another ADT rebranded model, another G1RF HDVM, but it's an ADT rebranded from late 2003. So it's it's an early 3rd generation. So it had the same Helvetica typeface that would continue up until 5th generation with a few modifications, except it had the more fully widened that the 2nd generations tend to have. And here we have a high fidelity Genesis speaker strobe, G4 HFWNS7 VMA, Genesis speaker strobe for mass notification. So that running man is not supposed to be on this device. But it's still pretty good. It still probably looks a pretty good device. Here we have a Genesis LED this is the Kid A branded version. So it's the EG4SVWF. It's a speaker strobe. The Kid A versions come with the mounting plates. The Edwards original versions do not, unfortunately. So here we have a Genesis basic ceiling speaker strobe. I think it's like GCWAS. I do not remember the model number. But and I'm gonna have to pop the cover open in order to view it because the label's on the cover inside the device, so I don't want to have to do that. But this one has alert markings. This is the basic Genesis speaker strobe. Here we have another basic Genesis speaker strobe. This is a G4WAS2VMA. A G4S7VMA, technically, but it's model G4S7VM. On a strobe expansion plate, G4AWF-C. Here we have an outdoor Genesis remote horn, WG4WF-H. It's same sound as the HOHD Genesis devices, except because of the different horn, it has a more motorized characteristic to it. And it's a lot more, and it's not as raw. Here we have a GC, gotta look at that model number, GCWAVMHA, ceiling mount Genesis strobe, mass notification, another mass notification Genesis speaker strobe, but it's a high fidelity, so that's why the Running Man's on there when it's not supposed to be on there. Dadgummit, Edwards. I think it's like GCHFWNS2VMA or HA, I don't remember. And here we have the Genesis low frequency sounder strobe. This is a G4LFWN because it has no fire markings -HVM. It's low frequency sounder. It looks exactly like the speaker strobe, surprisingly. Despite being based on the speaker strobe's platform. But the obvious difference is 520 hertz instead of the Running Man cartoon. So, which I have a friend, well, not necessarily a friend, because she's one of the staff of one of my respite services, and that relationship I have to respect that relationship a lot, but she thinks that's funny. Not going to mention names because I'm not going to name drop because that's disrespectful and very insolent. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. And yeah, in the Genesis Signal Master, it's really great synchronization module. It works, it definitely converts, it definitely has the capability to convert the Genesis 2-wire horn strobes to 4-wire, but the sad part is it doesn't work well with, the 4-wire configuration doesn't work well with my xenon horn strobes. It only works with the LEDs, as I aforementioned. But anyways, thank you for watching.